The clink of her fork against the plate shattered the silence, sharp as a gunshot in the dim dining room. My wife, Elise, sat across from me, her eyes fixed on the half-eaten salmon, her jaw tight as if chewing on something far heavier than food. "I want a prenup," she said, her voice low, deliberate, slicing through the air like a blade. "We keep everything separate." My nod was automatic, a reflex to keep the peace, but my chest tightened, a cold fist squeezing my ribs. The candlelight flickered, casting jagged shadows on her face, and I wondered when the woman I married had become a stranger. The dining room smelled of rosemary and regret, the air thick with the weight of her words. We'd been married 5 years, no kids, no fights about money. Yet here she was, drawing a line in the sand. I sipped my wine, the Merlot bitter on my tongue, and tried to read her. Her auburn hair was pulled back tightly, her lips pressed in, her fingers twitching around the stem of her glass. She wasn't looking at me. That was the first red flag, subtle but glaring, like a crack in a mirror you try to ignore. "Why now?" I asked, my voice steady despite the churn in my gut. I leaned back in the chair, the wood creaking under my weight, and waited. The clock on the wall ticked too loudly, each second a hammer against my skull. Elise's eyes flicked up, green and sharp, but they darted away again. "It's practical," she said, her tone clip rehearsed. "We're adults. People change. Things happen." She stabbed at her salmon, the fork scraping the plate, and I felt the sound in my bones. Practical. The word hung between us, hollow as an excuse. I wanted to press, to demand what thing she meant, but the air felt fragile, like one wrong word could shatter it. I forced a smile, tight and unconvincing. "Sure, practical." My mind raced, replaying the past few months. Her late nights at the office, her phone always face down, the way her laughter had grown rare, like a song she'd forgotten the words to. I'd chalked it up to stress, to her promotion at the law firm, to the grind of life. But now, her words gnawed at me, a whisper of something darker. That night, I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, the moonlight spilling to blinds and silver slats. Elise slept beside me, her breathing soft but uneven, as if even her dreams were restless. I couldn't shake the image of her at dinner, the way her hands trembled slightly, the way she'd avoided my gaze. My mind spun through possibilities. Debt, an inheritance she hadn't told me about, a sudden fear of commitment, or something worse. Something I didn't want to name. The next morning, the house felt different, like a stage set for a play I hadn't rehearsed. I poured coffee, the rich aroma grounding me, and watched Elise move through the kitchen. She was dressed for work, her navy blazer crisp, her heels clicking on the hardwood. She kissed my cheek, a perfunctory brush of lips, and said, "I'll be late tonight. Client dinner." Her smile was quick, practiced, and it didn't reach her eyes. "Again?" I asked, stirring sugar into my mug, the spoon clinking too loudly. "That's the third this week." She froze, just for a second, her hand on the doorknob. "It's a big case," she said, her back to me. "You know how it is." But I didn't. Not really. She'd always been private about work, but this felt different, guarded, like a door she'd locked me out of. I spent the day distracted, my laptop open but untouched, my thoughts spiraling. By noon, I was pacing the living room, the plush rug muffling my steps. I told myself I was paranoid, that I was reading too much into her words, her distance. But then I saw her phone on the counter, forgotten in her rush to leave. My heart thudded, a traitor's rhythm, as I picked it up. The screen was locked, but the notification bar glowed with a text. "Meet me at 8. Same place. No name, just a number." I set the phone down, my hands shaking, and told myself it was nothing. A colleague, a friend. But the knot in my chest tightened, and I couldn't unsee the words. I poured another coffee, the mug warm against my palms, and tried to focus on work. But my eyes kept drifting to her phone, a silent accusation. That evening, I waited. The house was too quiet, the hum of the fridge a low drone. I sat on the couch, a glass of whiskey in hand, the amber liquid catching the lamplight. When Elise came home at 11, her hair was slightly mussed, her lipstick faded. She smiled, but it was brittle like glass about to crack. "Good dinner?" I asked, my voice casual, but my grip on the glass was tight. She nodded, kicking off her heels. Exhausting, but productive. She moved to the kitchen, pouring herself water, her movements deliberate, avoiding my gaze. I wanted to ask about the text, about the same place, but the words stuck in my throat, heavy as stones. Days passed, each one a slow unraveling. I noticed things I hadn't before. Her perfume lingering on a scarf I didn't recognize, a receipt for a hotel bar crumpled in her coat pocket, the way she flinched when I touched her unexpectedly. I told myself I was imagining it, that love made you blind to flaws but also to reason. But doubt was a seed, and it was growing. One night, I couldn't take it anymore. She was in the shower, the water hissing behind the closed bathroom door, and her phone sat on the nightstand. My pulse roared in my ears as I typed her passcode. Our anniversary, a detail that now felt like a cruel joke. The text thread was still there, the same number, a string of messages stretching back weeks. "Miss you. Can't wait to see you. Room 312 like last time." My vision blurred, the words swimming, each one a dagger in my chest. I scrolled further, my hands trembling, and found photos. Her, laughing in a dimly lit bar, a man's arm around her. His face was half hidden, but his smile was unmistakable, smug. I knew him. David, her co-worker, the one she called just a friend, when I'd met him at her firm's holiday party. The room spun, the air too thick to breathe. I set the phone down, my heart a hollow drum. When she emerged, wrapped in a towel, her hair dripping, I was sitting on the bed, the phone in my lap. Her eyes widened, just for a moment, before she masked it with smile. "What's wrong?" she asked, her voice too light, too careful. "Who's David?" I said, my voice low, shaking with rage and grief. "And why are you meeting him in hotel rooms?" The color drained from her face, her hands clutching the towel. "It's not what you think," she said, but her voice cracked, betraying her. She stepped closer, her eyes pleading. But I stood, the phone falling to the floor with a thud. "Don't lie to me," I said, louder now, the words tearing free. I saw the text, the photos, everything. My voice broke, and I hated it, hated how much I still loved her, even now. She sank onto bed, her shoulders slumping. "I didn't mean for it to happen," she whispered, tears spilling down her cheeks. "It was a mistake. A stupid, awful mistake." She reached for me, but I stepped back, the space between us a chasm. "A mistake." I laughed, bitter and raw. "You've been lying for months. Planning. Sneaking." My hands clenched into fists, nails biting into my palms. "The prenup, was that for him? To protect yourself when you leave me?" "No," she cried, her voice desperate. "I wanted it because I was scared. Scared of what I was doing, of losing you." She buried her face in her hands, sobbing, but I felt no pity, only a cold, searing anger. I walked out, the door slamming behind me, the sound echoing in the empty house. Outside, the night was sharp, the air biting my skin. I drove aimlessly, the city lights blurring through tears I hadn't realized I was shedding. My mind churned, her betrayal, her tears, the prenup that now felt like a prelude to abandonment. I wanted to hate her, to erase her from my heart, but love clung like damp rot, impossible to shake. Hours later, I returned, the house dark and silent. Elise was gone, her suitcase missing, a note on the counter in her neat handwriting. "I'm sorry. I need time." I crumpled it, my chest heaving, and sank to the floor. The prenup, the lies, the man in the photos, they were pieces of a puzzle I'd refused to see. But the final twist, the one that cut deepest, was the realization that I'd still take her back, even now, if she walked through that door.